Outside of the Echo Chamber, the official I Dream of Indie Games podcast is brought to you by you, the gamer. If you'd like to join our mission to support indie visibility, head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. Well, greetings, Indie Warriors, and welcome back to what we strive to make the most entertaining and informative indie gaming show on the web. Yes, you are back here at I Dream of Indie Games, listening to Outside of the Echo Chamber. I'm your host, Old Gamer Joe, and joining me today is Miss Indie herself, Silent Signs. We do not have the Wobble Penguin this week. Barely Magic Mike, he is in Maryland, enjoying time with friends, I believe. Something along those lines. So, sorry, no Mike this week. You're going to have to deal with me and Miss Signs for the entirety of this episode. It won't be bad, I promise. Our mission is to celebrate the incredible indie gaming scene, shine a light on its talented developers and publishers by bringing daily reviews of indie games, first impressions, top 10 lists, the biggest sales that are going on, and of course, this very show outside of the Echo Chamber. So, a big up to all of you out there that support independent content. If you share our love for indie games, consider heading over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames. Your support gets you access to the coolest indie gaming community on Discord, early ad-free shows, shoutouts at the end of every video. We produce this podcast 3 days early, perhaps most importantly if you're listening to this, but best of all, you're supporting indie visibility. We are on Spotify, we are on our YouTube channel in the podcast section, and we are on YouTube Music. Today, as we do, we will dive into all of the latest indie gaming news, share our weekend adventures, and what we've been playing recently, present today's question of the day, and of course, let you know what you can expect on the channel next week. This week, we discuss whether the absence of adjustable difficulty levels in certain Souls-like games creates a barrier for accessibility, potentially gatekeeping the experience from a wider audience. All right, Silent Signs, I'll let you take it. Seeing I talked for a while during that intro, you played some bingo this weekend. Now, I have not played bingo in many, many years. We used to have a local town carnival where they'd have bingo. My mom liked playing, and I enjoyed it too. I'm not quite in the age territory of old man bingo lifestyle just yet, but I like the occasional game of bingo. So did you have fun? And this was for charity, I believe, right?
Yeah, so I don't usually go play bingo on the weekends. I'm not quite there yet either. Thanks a lot. But it was a fundraiser for Special Olympics. So, yeah, I went out and played some bingo. I didn't win anything. In fact, my whole table that I went with did not win anything, but that's okay. We still had a nice time and donated some money. So
this reminds me of the story you told me a few years back where I think you were playing bingo, right? Or was it a raffle where you won the
it was a raffle.
The Beanie Baby?
Yeah, I won this was back in the 90s because of course it was. Was it the 90s? Or late 90s, early 2000s?
Yes.
It was the Beanie Baby craze. You know the one.
Yes, definitely
Anyway.
late 90s, I believe.
Well, when did Princess Diana die? Because it was the Princess Diana bear.
I don't have the exact date in front of me, but
I'll look it up as I'm talking.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it was a tribute to Princess Diana.
It
She
was
passed
the
away.
Princess Diana Beanie Baby, and I was a Beanie Baby collector as we were back in the day. And I entered a raffle to win the Princess Diana Beanie Baby because it was really hard to get because all of the, in-demand Beanie Babies were. And I won, and they called me, and I was so excited. And I went to the place that I entered the raffle to pick up my Beanie Baby, and they said, "That'll be $60, please." And I said, "I don't have $60. I am a child." And they said, "Well."
So they charged you for the prize you won.
Basically, me being a kid did not understand that what I was entering to win was clearly not just to win the Beanie Baby, but the chance to purchase the Beanie Baby.
So you won the right to
to
buy
purchase
something.
the Beanie Baby.
That is so stupid. Wow, I would have been extremely upset and disappointed.
I was. I wanted it very badly for my collection. So my parents took pity on me and they shipped in the money that I didn't have towards it. And
Wow.
then
And that's $60 they weren't expecting to spend that night, probably.
no, but I did get the Princess Diana Beanie Baby. But that's the only time I've ever won anything in my entire life, and I had to pay for it.
Yeah, I collected quite a few of them only because my mother worked at McDonald's during the Beanie Baby craze, so she would always bring home all of the cool Beanie Babies. I didn't have to get in the line and fight people over them, which was really nice. Unfortunately, it's one of those things that did not really gain any value over the years, so a lot of people just have them now, and they're pretty close to worthless for the most part. I don't know if there's a few rare ones out there or whatnot, but what I remember most about the Beanie Babies is, of course, what was the show there with Don West where he would go on TV and try to sell you Beanie Babies?
It was like the QVC
like
thing.
the home shopping
Yeah.
shows. And he used to scream about these Beanie Babies, and it was hilarious. I loved Don West, who sadly passed away. He went into wrestling, and I thought that was perfect for a guy that was so loud. But man, he would really get you fired up about buying the Valentino, and he would shout all the names. It was hilarious.
Okay, good news. I was right. It was the late 90s.
Yeah, I figured as much. When did Diane die?
Late 90s.
Late 90s? Okay.
97.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I remember I was pretty young.
So I was like 8.
Yeah.
Not to age myself here, but
Yeah. No,
actually, funny we should mention 1997 because weren't we just watching the hit film from 1997?
Yes, I know what you did last summer. So a lot of you probably saw or heard that they are making this movie again or reimagining the movie. It's coming back.
This is a
franchise
great
is returning.
segue.
Yes, I know what you did last summer. They're making a new one. We just saw the trailer, which we'll get into. We saw Until Dawn this past weekend. But it looks like good campy fun, and I'd say the same of the original. So this was the first time I saw that movie, Silent Signs, probably since it came out. So I was like 13.
Yeah.
Dating myself as well when that movie came out. And I still thought it was really fun. Obviously, a lot of like loopholes and nonsensical stuff, as tended to be the case in these movies in the 90s, but still entertaining.
Here's what I'll say about the matter. I also first saw the movie when it came out in the 90s. I did not realize how unlikable the entire cast is. At the time, I didn't realize they just did something terrible.
Right. And they just went on with their lives.
That is so awful.
Like, obviously, they try to show in the movie that it haunts them and it still bothers them a year later.
But like, man, you really said you're supposed to root for any of these guys?
Yeah, no, I feel like if you hit a body, you should probably not just dump it in the water and move on with your life.
I get that that's the point, but I don't know.
Yeah.
As a kid, I don't remember being like so appalled by like, they just did that. There they go.
Yeah. As an adult, you think about these things way more. So I could see why adults probably thought that movie was really stupid back then. And like teenagers and whatnot were eating it up. I still thought it was fun. But, I turn my brain off for most movies. I kind of know what I'm getting into with a fantasy slasher horror type situation. So.
Yeah, I'm not looking for reality in my slasher horror. It just like it didn't dawn on me as a kid.
Yeah.
Like how deplorable of an act that truly was.
It's a very 90s movie, though. You feel it in the music, just the vibe, the acting, everything about it. So I enjoyed watching it again. Should we watch the sequel, you think?
Yeah, probably.
I don't remember that one at all. I may have never seen it.
I do, now that I've seen the first one again, I do think I saw the sequel, but
I still know, right?
It's been so long.
Yeah, it's been a really long time if I did. It's going to be one of those things where I'm watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm kind of making the connections here. But I barely remembered the original. So it's just one of those things where like enough time goes by and these things that weren't necessarily super important in your memories kind of just vanish. It's kind of creepy, isn't it? How you lose memories.
Not really. You maintain the important ones, and you kind of the less important ones just kind of fade into obscurity. But I mean, if something happens that brings them back up, they always come back around. Like watching the movie again, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this is gonna happen. Or I remember he's gonna be in the plastic covering in this scene. But like I couldn't have told you that before I watched the movie.
Right? Yeah. Sometimes it just kind of gets re-triggered and comes
you.
back to you. Yeah. So
it's in the recesses, but I can tell you the song lyrics of every song I listened to for the past 35 years. So
that's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Well, you heard those so many times, whereas with this movie or a lot of the movies of the 90s, you watched them maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
There are certainly movies that I can rephrase pretty much every line from because I watched them so many times. So it's kind of similar to that. But songs are quicker and more infectious. So that makes sense to me. We also saw Until Dawn, though, a more modern movie, though it kind of does have that schlocky 90s thriller vibe to it. I enjoyed this movie. Kind of an interesting concept. So it's not exactly like the game per se, other than the fact that a group of kids get together, but they are more unraveling a girl's, well, I don't want to spoil too much here. Do you think it's spoiling to tell the main plot line of the movie?
I mean...
So a girl goes back to visit a certain location to see if her missing sister is still there or not. I'll say that much. That's fair, right?
That's like the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Yes. And from there, it becomes sort of a weird time warp situation where there's this...
If you played Until Dawn, you understand the type of time warp.
Yeah. Basically, events keep repeating themselves, but in different ways. That's the concept of this movie, which I thought was really cool. I thought it was something different for horror. I liked this movie quite a bit. It looked good. It was funny. It was definitely not like amazingly acted or anything. It's not going to win any awards, but
no.
I thought they did a good job with the property. What did you think of it?
I thought they set a really good atmosphere of anxiety and uncertainty and fear, which is the whole point of Until Dawn as a franchise. So that was really cool. Yeah, I thought as far as video game movies go, especially like horror-themed video game movies, definitely one of the better ones I've seen.
Yeah, it took some liberties from the game for sure, but there were a few tributes as well that I caught. I don't know if you caught, like, at one point they mentioned some of the characters from the previous game.
I did catch that. Yeah, so
well, we're talking about like the original. I know they did a remake of Until Dawn as well. I didn't play that one.
Yeah, I didn't play the remake. I only played the original as well with you. So
yeah, so there's some cool Easter eggs in the movie as well. It's really violent. It is a hard R for sure. There are lots of organs and flying body parts and all kinds of violence. So I thought it was a good time myself. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. Silent Signs.
It was fun.
Other than that, Silent Signs got a new do. She got her hair done. She gets her hair cut like once a year.
Maybe,
in fact,
if that.
It took me booking this haircut for you to even go. But it looks great. You got a nice like 80s style going on now.
Maybe a little 70s, a little 80s, I guess.
Yeah. Was that what you were going for, or is that just how the hair came out?
No, that's what I was going for. I showed her a picture, and she did it. She done did it.
She did it accurately, too. I mean, I didn't see the picture, but it looks like a nice 70s, 80s do.
I was like, give me a mullet, but make it a fashion mullet. And she said, I got you. And
cutting her curls is not easy.
No. And let me tell you, I do have curls.
Yeah, she's very curly, if you don't know. So came out great. It's always good when you can find a hairstylist that works well with curls. Not easy to do, right? Mm-hmm. Have you ever had someone give you a really bad haircut?
I have had so many bad haircuts in my lifetime. It's the reason that I avoid getting my haircut to this day.
We have the same hairstylist now. So our whole family gets haircuts from this woman.
Actually, literally all of us do.
That's how much we appreciate her. She's great. All right, then. Let's get into some indie game news. That's what you're really here for, not to hear about our lives. The Playism game show took place last week, where the publisher revealed tons of upcoming indie games. Let's go over some of the highlights, Silent Signs, starting with Motion Wreck. Now, I'm going to read some of the Steam descriptions here, just so you know. This is not me writing an original piece. I'll put it in quotes. Quote, a recording puzzle action game where you progress through stages by recording and playing back your own movements. This game has kind of a black and white aesthetic that reminded me a bit of Downwell, Silent Signs. It looks cute and quite challenging, too. You're a fan of puzzle action games, right? What did you think of Motion Wreck?
This is going to kill me because it reminds me of another game that we played previously that was a puzzle platformer where you could like collect tapes and there was like various tracks of the tapes that you could switch between, but I don't remember what that was called.
Yeah, that's going to drive me nuts now too because there are like 1,000 indie games running through my brain, so I can't always remember them, but based on what you saw of Motion Wreck, what do you think of it?
It looks fun. I like the aesthetic of it. I like the concept, obviously, because I've played another game like this before. And I don't even think that's like on purpose. I don't think they're fully trying to do a ripoff or anything. It's just there's only so many concepts in the world, you know?
Do you like the black and white aesthetic that this game uses and a lot of other games like Downwell use?
I like black and white. Yeah. I like when
easy on the eyes kind of thing.
Yeah, and sometimes you can like switch between the different colorways and make it look like a Game Boy, and that's kind of cool.
The next game they showcased was Mind Diver. Quote again, investigate a broken mind to unravel a twisted case, deduce the truth, restore lost memories, listen to private conversations, draw your own conclusions. Mind Diver is a murder mystery where the victim is love. Now this game looks very strange and abstract visually, Silent Signs. It's almost like real people. You see them, but they're almost kind of like a painting.
They're like distorted,
Yeah,
you mean?
distorted reality, really creepy
Kind
looking
of.
visual style to this game. We should also mention we're going to be checking out a lot of these at PAX. We do have an appointment with Playism, which is exciting. What did you make of Mind Diver? From a visual standpoint, it definitely threw me off a bit, but gameplay seems interesting here, kind of trying to retrieve lost memories like we were talking about earlier.
Pretty sure the visual style is meant to represent the fragmented memories.
Makes sense.
Where you're trying to piece together and things are a little distorted. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely one I recommend y'all out there check out the trailer for, because it looks truly, truly unusual.
It's kind of like how we were just talking about watching a movie again and you have those fragmented memories and they all start to piece together as you're seeing it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They also showcased Valkyrie of Phantasm. This is a game that was actually released already on PC. It's coming over to the Switch and PS5 now. Quote, control characters from the Toho Project series in this shooting action game featuring high-speed aerial versus combat. Denmaku battles faster than you've ever seen will unfold in the skies of Gensokyo as you use your mobility to dodge countless bullets flying at you with a variety of spells. So I like a good anime sky battle. This one looks pretty fast, frantic, and it's also going to have online play. I did not play the PC release, so I'm not a console guy. I should probably just go back and get that on sale at some point, but exciting for those of you who enjoy anime mech battles. Not your thing, Silent Signs, or?
I think I'm traumatized from sky battles from the previous sky battles game that we played.
Oh, are you talking about Sky Oceans?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was more turn-based. This is more like action-heavy for sure.
Okay,
But yeah, I can understand why you're traumatized by that game. I am too. Probably the cutest game that they showcased is unfortunately not coming out this year. They have it slated for sometime in 2026. It's Skateboard Night. Quote, hop on a skateboard and casually save the world. Simple controls. Just move up and down the lanes. Horizontal movement and attacks are all auto. So it is a little bit hands-off in its approach. You have to dodge out of the way of things and such, but you don't do the actual shooting. But it does have an arcade-style vibe to it that reminds me of some of those classic arcade shooters, but 2D side-scrolling in this case. Skateboard Night looks adorable, though.
It looks really, really cute. I want to play this one of all of the ones that we've listed so far.
Next, we had Glaciered. Quote, soar the seas at the end of time, 65 million years in the future. The world has frozen over, and the oceans have been sealed under a thick layer of ice. Become a tuai, a species that evolved from birds, and protect the Everwinter in this futuristic underwater action game. Underwater battles, but rather than anime girls here, Silent Signs, it's all about sea creatures. It looked like that last game we mentioned, the Valkyrie game.
I see.
But sea creatures and in the ocean. So if you have a fear of the ocean, this probably won't be for you.
I don't have a fear of the ocean, do you?
No, but a lot of people in our Discord, I shouldn't say a lot, but at least a few, do not like games that deal with the vast ocean. They cannot deal with it. They're terrified.
I'm more scared of space.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like games that go to space then too much?
I don't mind it, but like the thought of me going to space, I do not like.
You know what's kind of interesting? We'll talk about what we played a little bit later, but this is kind of crazy. I never had this problem up until more recent years, but as I play games where you climb up high, I get terrified a little bit because I have a fear of heights. And so now games are triggering that in me a little bit. I played Steel Seed, spoiler for what's ahead here, and you get up really, really high at points in that game. I was frightened. I actually felt it in my gut, like, ugh.
Bro, you're not climbing.
I know. It's just
It's okay.
the sensation of it. I was surprised. It threw me off completely. This never happened to you in a game? I know you get motion sick with FPS games.
I get motion sick, but that's there's nothing I can do about that.
But the heights don't bother you? Oceans don't bother you? Nothing? No fears in video games?
No fears in video games.
Nothing
no
that
fears
grosses you out?
in movies. I don't know. I'm more scared of real life than I am of any sort of media.
More mechs next from Playism. No surprise, they love their mech games. Break Arts 3. Quote, freely customize your own robots to win high-speed matches. With the brand new co-op mode and diorama mode, this game is a fresh new addition to the series. Again, I've not played the Break Arts series, much to my chagrin, but this looks very, very fast. This game almost had like a Sonic the Hedgehog speed to it.
Yeah, that was a lot.
That was throwing you off a bit, I know.
The music on the trailer even was really fast.
Ooh, it
and
was,
I was like,
yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah, it's going to be high energy. That's probably what the series is known for. I can only assume. I never played them, but fans of Break Arts, be on the lookout for a third one. Nitro Express is another game that they featured. Quote, a 2D side view gun action game where cute pixel art girls shoot assault weapons with 360-degree free aiming in the streets of Japan. This looked like good arcade-style scrolling fun here, Silent Signs. A little bit of the old Metal Slug vibe to it. Very pixely, for sure.
Definitely more of a you thing than a me thing, but I'm glad that it exists.
And then there was Outrider Mako, which we were discussing. Mako or Mako? I don't know.
The internet says Mako.
According to Google, Google pronunciations for what those are worth, it's Mako. Maybe it's like Mako in English and in other territories it's Mako, because I've definitely heard it as Mako. Let us know in the comments below, is it Mako or Mako? Quote, take on the role of Mako or Mako on her quest. That's actually the character's name? Interesting. To seek out and subsequently deliver her deliverables in this top-down view 2D action game. Jump on top of your enemies and slime them with goo to stop them in their tracks. Get those deliverables delivered. This looks really cute. I kind of couldn't tell what was going on in the trailer. A lot of Japanese language, too, was throwing me off a bit. But,
I didn't know what was happening, but I liked it.
It definitely
I'll tell
looks
you that.
Like over-the-top, frantic, and crazy.
Yeah, very like...
Sporadic? Is that a word for it?
It's not the word I'm looking for.
No?
Like, there is a certain randomness to it that I appreciated.
It did look very random, yeah. Last game that at least I want to shout out here. I think there were a few more. There was a couple announcements about like old games coming to PS5 and whatnot. But as far as new properties, Nidana was the last one that I saw. It's a first-person dream simulator. Not Madonna, Nidana. And it looks very abstract and weird, as you would expect out of a dream simulator. Silent Signs, this one caught your eye.
Yeah, it's got a very stark, minimalist, black and white style to it that I was instantly intrigued by. I don't know what's happening in this one either. That's the theme through all of these games, apparently. But this one I would definitely check out blindly.
Yeah, what I've learned from this is that Playism definitely takes some creative risks. I like what they make. I like a lot of their games, and they definitely love their mechs.
Very excited to check out their booth at PAX East.
Very excited for that as well. Glad we were able to book an appointment. I think we're going to spend a good hour there with Playism.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's plenty to play.
Yes, indeed. And we will have a full interview for you to enjoy. That should be going live at some point Saturday when we return from PAX. This year, we've learned our lesson from past years, and we're going on Thursday and Friday.
To try and avoid a lot of the
Saturday crowd is just
the crowd in general.
Yeah.
We're not big crowd people in general, either of us.
No, but we're very excited to see a few of our indie warriors that are making their way out there from the Discord community.
Yes,
We've got a dinner plan, Mexican, tequila shots, maybe, Silent Signs?
Tequila shots?
Get a little crazy
with it?
What
is this turning into?
You're not a shots girl, are you?
No, I want a nice marg.
A margarita, okay. All right, rack up my bill with that margarita. Shots are probably cheaper. I don't know. Drinking's not cheap nowadays anyway.
Getting myself a gosh darn margarita.
I guess if you're going to drink, you might as well drink something that tastes good.
I want to enjoy it.
You don't like shooting shots, right?
No, what's the point?
It's fun. It's a celebration,
I can celebrate with a margarita.
Fair enough.
I had one last night and it was incredible.
Yes. We're not big drinkers anyways.
That's why it was incredible.
Special occasion.
Spicy margarita.
Yes, it was. Was it actually spicy?
Yeah.
The girl said when she delivered you the margarita that it wasn't spicy.
No, the pepper that she put in it wasn't like a hot jalapeno.
God, nothing about a spicy drink appeals to me.
Oh my
With
God,
alcohol already burns your stomach.
So good.
That doesn't sound good.
So good.
All right, last story here, and it's not involving Playism. That's it for their showcase, but the RoboCop Rogue City series is returning. We all know I didn't care for this game. It was pretty rough shape when I played it, Silent Signs. But it sold well. Apparently, they've done a bunch of patchwork to it. A lot of people do like this game, for what it's worth.
Well, maybe in its final form. It was better.
Yes, maybe. RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business, the future of law enforcement.
It was unfinished business when you played it, unfortunately.
Studio Teon and publisher Nacon are pleased to announce, sorry, I should mention this is from Games Press, pleased to announce through a new trailer that RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business will release on the 17th. It's coming to the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X and S, and PC. No surprise it's not going to be on the OG Switch. No announcement on Switch 2. I guess we're not there yet with Switch 2 stuff, which should be able to handle more games. This new title is a standalone experience to the successful first-person action game RoboCop Rogue City. After triumphing over Detroit's gangs and the new guy in town, peace for RoboCop and the citizens of old Detroit is short-lived, and crime once again invades the streets. In the midst of this chaos, a spark of hope emerges from OCP's new project, the Omni Tower, a massive housing complex intended to give the people of old Detroit a better life. In addition to an all-new adventure, players can look forward to a host of new additions and innovations, including new weapons such as the cryo cannon, enemies including androids with katanas, and devastating finishing moves. What's more, some gameplay sequences will allow players to relive events through thrilling flashbacks, giving them the opportunity to play for the very first time in a video game as Alex Murphy himself. Alright, so it seems like, RoboCop Rogue City was able to find an audience in the end, despite me not being a huge fan of it. It did get some things right. There was some good action to this game. Silent Signs, do you have any interest in RoboCop coming back?
No, I was not a RoboCop fan.
No, not a fan of the movies either?
I never saw them until much later in life, so I don't have that nostalgia or fondness for them, and just watching them now, I'm like, this is silly.
All right, fair enough. You RoboCop fans, be on the lookout. It'll just be a few months away. I'm sure we'll have some coverage of the game here at I Dream of Indie Games. Maybe I'll make Barely Magic Mike play it this time so we get a different perspective.
That'd be good.
Our new reviewer, Ted, maybe even. We'll see. So shout out to Ted, by the way. He's been doing a good job. A couple reviews live now, right? He has Old Skies, I think he did last week.
Yep.
Which was like his first real big review. It's not a big game, but it was like a 10, 12-minute review. So nice in-depth job there by our new friend, Ted, out in the UK. Getting used to the time zone difference between us. That's a little bit of a challenge, Silent Signs. We're 5 hours apart, I think. So,
right now, yes.
Yeah, so I'll wake up at like 9 and it'll already be like halfway through his workday and stuff. It's kind of crazy. All right, Silent Signs, let's get into what we've been playing real quick. Obviously can't talk about everything per usual on this podcast, but you'll be pleased to know that I actually did find just a hair, just a tinkle, a little dinkle of spare time.
No way. Where'd you find that?
A video game, I know, right? And it was only like an hour and a half I got to play so far, maybe 2 hours tops. But I did check out a game that's pretty hyped right now, I'd say. Sold 1 million copies in 3 days. Very impressive for a AA. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And I'm really liking this game so far. From a French developer, is my understanding, and you definitely feel that in the story and the vibe of the game. You can actually play the entire game in French language as well, which is really cool. It is a turn-based RPG, but a very, very beautiful one. A lot of people are comparing it to Lost Odyssey. I don't know if that's a game you're familiar with, back on the Xbox 360.
Very vaguely, but I was never an Xbox girly.
Yeah, turn-based combat, very fast in this game, though. I love the turn-based engine, at least what I've played of it so far. So essentially, it's quite interactive, almost reminds me a little bit of Final Fantasy VIII back in the day, where you had the gun blade and you had to hit the button at the right moment. There's a lot of that going on, a lot of having to dodge out of the way of incoming attacks, a lot of having to hit the buttons at the right moment to inflict more damage. It makes turn-based combat more interesting than just watching the same animations play out over and over again. So that's something that I'm enjoying greatly about the game so far. It is beautiful. I can't stress that enough, though. Have you seen some footage? I assume you have.
I've only ever seen the trailer. I haven't seen you playing any of it, but it did look really neat.
Yes, in fact, I tested a little bit on the Steam Deck because some of our Discord members were curious about that. It ran. It definitely does not look anywhere near as good. You'll want to play this, if possible, on a huge screen because, boy, is it absolutely gorgeous. But I am enamored with this game so far. I'm blown away. Apparently, this was a team of 30 ex-Ubisoft developers, I believe, if I have that right. And congratulations to them. Impressive feat. I've never really heard of a AA production selling 1 million in 3 days like that.
No, it shows you how hungry people were for that type of game.
People are absolutely starving still for traditional JRPGs. We saw that with Sea of Stars in the indie scene. We're seeing it again here with Clair Obscur Expedition 33. So, if you don't know much about the concept here, basically, there are these expeditions that have been taking place for years and years. Kind of considered suicide missions at this point because nobody ever seems to come back, but it's to stop this evil plight that's happening. And as the title implies, you are the 33rd expedition to try to set things right and end the evil, I guess you could call it.
Okay, basic premise.
Right, very basic premise, but really emotional in those first couple of hours, I have to say. Very hard-hitting game. I'm enjoying it so far. Outside of that, we do have a full review up right now of Steel Seed, which is a stealth game. I won't go into too many details here because the full review is available on youtube.com/idreamofindiegames, or you can read the written version on idreamofindie.com. but you did see me play a little bit of Steel Seed, and I think you were equally impressed with its visual fidelity and whatnot.
Very impressed with how it looks. I was shocked that it was even an indie game at all.
Yeah, same. And I love the stealth in this game. I'm not normally Mr. Stealth by any means, but it plays fluidly. It looks great. Has a bit of an Uncharted vibe to it almost, or like Tomb Raider. It definitely has the feel of a AAA game to a degree. But if you want to learn more about Steel Seed, be sure to check out the full review. And then the last game, go ahead, Silent Signs, Post-Trauma. I did the review on this as well.
Yes, we were both traumatized by post-trauma.
I wouldn't say traumatized, but disappointed more than anything.
Yeah. It's, first of all, the weirdest character model I've ever seen in a video game. Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't say weirdest, but a choice for sure.
You play as this old train conductor man with a beer gut running around, and he kind of like hunches when he runs too. Like he has the weirdest run position I've ever seen.
I've noticed that in a lot of games where the run animations can be pretty janky and hilarious.
It's like he's crouch running, but his back is also hunched. So.
Yes. But I will say, like, actually one of the stronger points of the game is its visuals. Has really cool stylistic camera angles.
Some nice light and shadows.
Yeah, good direction overall, but a very poorly made product in every other regard. Outside of a few puzzles that are, I would say, decent at least, right? But it also goes back to the well a lot with the, look on the wall and find the numbers and go punch those numbers in this other location. And there's no map, so there's a lot of running back and forth and memorizing places.
Correction, there are maps. They're they're in a fixed point.
There's no like built-in map.
So you have to run back to the map and be like, wait, where was I going?
That just seems bizarre, doesn't it?
So, I mean, it's not the worst game I've ever played. It had some promise, I think.
It did have some promise, yes. Just not realized. It'll only ever be potential, it seems
We kind of fought through that one together. There was definitely some frustrating points, but...
It's interesting because I bet a lot of people, and we got some comments about this, thought that Post-Trauma was going to be the big release this week in the indie scene, outside of, obviously, Claire Obscure.
Yeah.
And then we had the stealth drop, too, of a AAA game that I'm sure
Oblivion.
all of you are aware of, yes. Oblivion, correct. And Steel Seed is the game that ends up really resonating with me.
I did see some people complaining about the look of Steel Seed, which is weird to me. They were saying it's very bland looking, and I
disagree, actually. I think this game looks amazing. Maybe you're not playing it on a more powerful rig on low settings or something like that.
I think a lot of people were comparing it to, what's it called? Is it the other robot girl game that's AAA? Is it Stellar Blade?
Stellar Blade is the game you're thinking of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are
that's
like,
not a fair comparison at all.
It's just a knockoff. I'm like, not really. I don't know. I haven't played Stellar Blade, but from what I've seen of it, this does not seem the same.
You're also comparing $100 million budget to a smaller indie project.
Small team.
Here. I think what they did with Steel Seed is very commendable. That game looks incredible.
Yeah,
just my opinion. I think I even said in the review, it's one of the coolest looking games I've played on the channel.
Definitely, very impressive.
Good mix of combat and stealth. Can't recommend Steel Seed enough. It ended up getting the elusive Golden Genie Lamp of Approval.
I was shocked by that.
Yeah, a lot of people disagree, but hey, fuck them. It's my channel. I can do what I want.
I had zero expectations for that game, and I was very impressed. So.
All right, and that is all for what we played this week.
Well, not really. We played other things. We just can't talk about them.
Yeah, but that's par for the course.
Yeah.
All right, topic of the day. We won't dwell on this too long, Silent Signs, but I think it'll be an interesting conversation. Kind of wish Mike was here for it because I know he has some strong stances in regards to Souls-like games. But as we've seen, Souls-like games don't always offer difficulty options. They are intentionally dick-crushingly difficult. So what do you think? There's great atmosphere to some of these games. There's great lore to these games. They have really cool ideas, concepts. I like action RPGs. I like some of the combat systems of Souls games. Not all of it, some of it. But I do feel locked out on occasion. I feel like, well, this game is going to murder me from the first boss on. I might not even get to the second boss in some cases. I'm not great at overly difficult games myself, and I feel like I would like to experience some of these dark corridors and streets and the gothic atmosphere that these games offer. But I always can't. I do feel a little left out. I give it the old college try in many cases. I've reviewed a few on the channel I've suffered through, but it's just not fun to me to die on overly difficult bosses over and over and over again. I'm the type of person that has to make progress in a game or I get kind of internally angry. It could be a me problem, but I feel like a lot of you out there feel the same, and a lot of you feel differently, which is totally cool. That's why we're having this discussion. So, Silent Signs, where do you stand on this? Souls-like games that don't have difficulty options, but seem to offer some really cool artwork and ideas. Do you feel left out?
I don't really care anymore. There are so many I don't want to say accessible, but there's so many more approachable Souls-like titles now that have very similar visuals and themes and that do things really well, that I feel like if you want that Souls experience and you're not really good at the games, you can still get it somewhere. If they want to make games that are, meant for only the most hardcore of hardcore Souls fans, bless, go ahead. I don't care. That's good for you. There's an audience for that. That's awesome. I don't have to play it. Not everything has to be for me, and that's fine. So I don't really care anymore.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Not everything has to be for everyone, but I do feel like sometimes these games could be for more people. Let's say, for example, Lies of P, a game that I thought had a really cool concepts. I like the whole dark Pinocchio thing that's going on with that game,
cool.
The puppets and stuff. I wanted to explore more of that world. I get to the first boss in the game, and I'm done. I already know what it's going to be from a gameplay standpoint, and I feel like I'm not going to be able to enjoy a lot of the great things that game has to offer because of the fact that a boss wants to stupidly kill me over and over again, get good and all that stuff. But I don't really have a lot of time to sit there and master these games like I used to. I Dream of Indie Games, it's a unique situation, but it's often play the hell out of a game, write about it, record it. It's a huge, huge process, and you need to make progress in a game in order to advance with your review. So that can be pretty frustrating from that standpoint.
I mean, but here's the thing.
But it's a different perspective.
Yeah, the average person is not playing a Souls game on a time crunch. They're playing it in their free time.
Correct.
They're able to devote hours and hours to perfecting the art of besting a boss and, how to dodge at the perfect time and how to parry and, really literally get good at the game. And that's great. We're the exception to this rule.
Counterpoint, though, not to cut you off there, sorry, but how do you feel about people that love everything about the look of a Lies of P, for example? Again, that's one of many games, obviously, but do feel locked out or that there's gatekeeping going on because they can't play further into it.
We live in a time where if you really can't do it, you can watch someone else do it. You can watch the whole game and you can watch someone do it perfectly, and it's actually amazing.
Do you like watching games? Because I don't. I like being a part of it. That's like the best part of video games to me is actually that you have control. That's why I've always favored them over movies. It's like I am an active participant in the action on the screen. I don't get that when I watch playthroughs. That's just me, though.
Well, sometimes I like watching someone play through something, especially if it's something that's outside of my skill set. If I can't do it, but you can do it really well, I'd love to watch you do it.
All right, fair enough. Well, let us know in the comments below. What do you all think? Are Souls games gatekeeping? Do you want to enjoy more of these games, but you feel like the difficulty is locking you out? Or do you like the way things are? Let us know in the comments below, and we will read them, as many of them as possible, on the next episode of Outside of the Echo Chamber. But speaking of comments, Silent Signs, we had a few last week on our boycott episode. It's not that we were boycotting anything. We were talking about gaming boycotts and if they ever work or not. Quite a few discussions around this topic, Silent Signs. Let's jump into one. This comes from Notes Croats 4360. Gamers aren't organized enough to boycott anything. At most, they'll just not buy stuff they don't like, which has had an effect in many cases. Your thoughts, Silent Signs?
Yeah, exactly. That's if you don't like something and you don't want to be an active participant in supporting it, you just don't buy it.
Yeah, maybe you don't necessarily have to go make a giant stink online about it.
I mean, do whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's whatever makes you feel better about yourself, right?
Sure.
Like that's really what the world's all about. You're not going to change every person that has a completely polar opposite view of the world as you do. All you can do is do what makes you feel good about yourself and what helps you sleep at night.
Correct.
There
Yes.
you go. That's
I agree.
it.
Example of that, I made a personal choice not to pre-order the Switch 2 right away. Doesn't mean I'm telling other people not to get it and not to enjoy it. It's just not something I want to support at this current time. But maybe I will down the road. Maybe Nintendo will, fix some of the issues that I have with what they're doing from a business stance right now.
Me personally, I don't care. I'm just broke.
Well, that's another problem for a lot of people, too. And we got a lot of comments about that, too. It's like, I'd kind of like to have a Switch 2, but I can barely pay my rent. A lot of people said that.
And that's
very harsh reality
totally
right now.
valid right now.
It's true. It's true. Let's read another comment here from RDM4SP. Depends on what your definition of works is. There are two problems with boycotts. The first problem is expectation. Since the vocal minority expects the game to fail, yeah, of course it does not work, since the vast majority of consumers have no idea what is going on in the gaming bubble. Even though I do not like the word boycott, I do it for some games and some companies, and I do tell people about it, and I think it is important to do so, but therein lies the second problem, freedom. Telling people about a boycott and trying to convince them to join is one thing. Telling, not preaching. They are free to do as they please, and most boycotters forget that and either try to force or bully them into the boycott. Hogwarts is the perfect example of it. Trying to force someone into a boycott or being preachy about it creates the problem of people doing exactly the opposite. There's more here, silent signs, but did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I had the same statement about the Hogwarts game is I didn't purchase it personally. I know a lot of people were out there boycotting it, which is fine, well within your right to do so. I felt the same way about it. However, the out there preaching, telling people what to do and not just stating your own personal feelings on it.
Do you think that incentivizes people to do the opposite in a lot of cases?
Incentivizes people to do the opposite in a lot of cases.
I've seen that with some of the reviews, which obviously that's this whole channel is based on telling the truth and giving an honest impression of what we played, but you'll definitely get a few people that'll be like, oh, you didn't like it, huh? I'm going to go buy it now.
You can't tell other consumers what to do with their money at the end of the day. You can only do what's right for you, and that's...
Right.
That's it.
Granted, now a few people have apologized for buying those games later, but that's a moot point.
You know? Hey.
That Deal 79. I caught myself boycotting all the Call of Duty games because they pretty much popularized the trends of DLC and microtransactions as they are today. Unfortunately, my boycott did very little, as most of my friends still buy every Call of Duty game. Yeah, you were never going to successfully boycott maybe the biggest gaming franchise out there next to GTA.
Or like
happen.
Madden.
Right. Reminds me of the whole, when Blizzard were being assholes and mistreating people and the whole
people were all like,
deal is going on.
I'm not
going to buy Diablo 4. No way.
Uh-huh.
And then it sells millions of copies. The game sucks, but from all I've heard anyways.
Haven't played it, don't know.
But yeah, you bought it anyways, didn't you? Huh? Bet some of you out there listening bought it, didn't you? Punk? Huh? It's okay. I don't really care.
No.
From Jack McSlay. Last comment here, silent signs. Boycotting over prices makes as much sense as saying airplanes cheat gravity. In the supply and demand curve, there is an equilibrium price in which anyone which the most they're willing to pay for a given product is below that are priced out. People stating they're unwilling to buy a product for the MSRP does not change the equilibrium price. And let's not forget, there is a company that years ago normalized paying in the ballpark of $500 for an oversized gaming portable, and that wasn't Nintendo. What do you think of this, silent signs? There's a certain price that people are willing to pay, and that's that. Do you agree? Or will people pay anything for certain products or games?
I think when there's a name and there's new content attached to something that's going to be exclusive to that device, there's going to be an audience of people that are going to pay for it regardless. It might be slower at first, especially you're in a hard economy and
yeah.
people are short on cash. Eventually it'll trickle in, though. I do believe people will.
Yeah, I think
purchase.
so. I think the console you're alluding to there, the Steam Deck, it probably was a niche product of sorts when it was first announced. It has a higher price tag. But you got to consider, too, you're getting your whole Steam library along with that console, which makes it a little bit more enticing. But yeah, it's a specialty product, and it's sold in that range of a specialty product. But I think Valve knew that as well.
Aren't all consoles kind of a specialty product? I mean, they're targeted towards a very specific audience in any case. They're targeted towards Nintendo fans, or they're targeted towards PlayStation fans.
Right. Steam Deck was targeted towards, PC-centric players.
Fans.
Love indie games.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything has its niche. That's why they know what they can sell to you.
Agreed. Thank you, everybody, for writing in. That closes that topic. We can't wait to hear your thoughts on Souls games and difficulty. All right, Silent Signs, let's get out of here. Of course, coming up on the channel, upcoming indies will be live for all of you right now. There was an unlucky 13 releases that I highlighted this week. Kind of wish I evened that out now. It's a bad omen, 13. Other than that, hidden indie gems on Friday. A bunch of reviews headed your way. Of course, we can't talk about those just yet, but keep it locked. I think we have content every day of the week next week, Monday through Friday. So enjoy all of that. Thank you for supporting independent content. And as we do, let's close this thing out. Silent Signs, you get the funny noise this week.
I don't know how to make any funny noises. What kind of funny noise would I make? No, okay, we'll just close it with that.
For far too long, you, the gamer, have been denied honest gaming coverage. Indie developers and publishers have lost their voice, but no longer. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames to join this epic campaign for indie visibility. The echo chamber trembles as our message grows louder. Voice to the voiceless.